Good morning, party people. How are we doing today on this very fine Monday morning? The weather is hot. It's only going to get hotter. Wimbledon also starts today. Just a random side note. Don't know where that came from, but yeah, just remember Wimbledon starts today. And yeah, we're here talking football as per usual, as per the channel. And the main topic of today's video comes from the big breaking news that broke last night. David Ornstein dropped a huge bomb last night that went off that Chelsea are going to sign Joao Pedro this summer for an excess of £50 million. We obviously knew about Chelsea's interest in Brighton, and yet they've gone back to their B team to take another player from the Seagulls, to take another in the form of the Brazilian striker known as Joao Pedro. He'd been attracting a lot of interest. Down at the seaside. Newcastle was seemingly said to be very interested in taking him. We obviously knew about Newcastle's interest from a fair few years ago, where it seemed like they got the here we go treatment from Fabrizio Romano, only for Brighton to swoop in at the 11th hour and take him right from their grasp. And now, it seems Newcastle have missed out again on Joao Pedro, and he is now going to be going to Chelsea. Like I say, Brighton seems to be Chelsea's B team. Like, the amount of players and the amount of money that has exchanged hands from Chelsea to Brighton over the years has been astronomical. And not just players as well, but managers and coaches. Remember when Graham Potter jumped ship? And then the players' side of things, we obviously knew about Moises Caicedo, Marc Cucurella, Robert Sanchez. Well, there may be one or two players to add to that list, but you can now add Joao Pedro to that list because he is seemingly going to be going to Chelsea, barring any sort of major U-turn by any of the parties involved or anything like that. It seems that the Joao Pedro deal is done, dusted, and just yet to be delivered, pending obviously a medical and all of the tying up of loose ends and all of that stuff. It seems as though Joao Pedro is going to be joining the likes of Liam Delap, and, of course, Jamie Gittins, who we'll get onto a little later as well, as part of being this incredible transfer window that is turning out to be at Chelsea. It was a very busy weekend for the Blues in terms of obviously preparing for the Club World Cup and obviously, you know, the transfer side of things as well. Jamie Gittins on Saturday night was pretty much confirmed. Sunday night, Joao Pedro. Hope you are doing well, everybody. Hope everybody is doing good on this mighty fine Monday morning. As per usual, guys, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. If you want to see more content like this, both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And, of course, I encourage you all to get involved in the chat as well. Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about this. Chelsea fans, are you happy about this move? Are you excited about the addition of Joao Pedro to your squad? Or are you a little bit underwhelmed? Are you not quite as excited or as happy? Are you left there scratching your heads, confused as to why Chelsea would be going after such a player like Joao Pedro? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling in the comment section. Rival fans can get involved in this. Brighton fans, are you happy to see Joao Pedro leave? Are you happy for the big money to be rolling in once again for another big player of yours? And Newcastle fans, talk to me. How are you happy that you missed out on this potential target? Are you unhappy that another player has seemingly turned you down in this transfer window so far? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling down below in, well, I say down below, it's to the side, isn't it? To the side where the chat is. Would love to hear what you guys have to say on all of this stuff and much more. Luca Talks Dons has been here, so hope you're doing well, my friend. Lovely to have you here, even if it was for the brief moment. If you are still here, I'm not 100% sure, but lovely to see you as always, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Ballum's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along, my friend. Lovely talking to you as always. He says, good morning, Fletcher. Who needs Sky when you have Captain on it? I mean, I'm a bit late because obviously it broke last night and obviously I couldn't get around to doing it until this morning. But yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Like, hopefully I will be a bit more punctual on these things in the future, but we shall see how things go. I am feeling hot. Is it me or you? It is very warm today, and it's going to get even hotter, it seems, as the day progresses. So make sure to stay hydrated, people. Make sure to stay hydrated. Stay as cool as you can. And yes, enjoy this mighty fine weather that is going to be happening. I'm at work, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be in a beer garden today, which is where I would rather be, in all honesty. But I hope you're doing well, Ballum, anyway. Always lovely to speak to you, my friend. Brighton and Hove Albion make good money from Chelsea. You haven't made a video for 4 days. Will you upload today or tomorrow? I've not been really. I didn't do over the weekend, but a couple of those 4 days I did obviously live streams. So I've kind of been putting in content out there daily. Weekend was kind of a bit of a struggle for me. I had other things going on and stuff. So, but yeah, it's all good, and yeah, I'm hopefully going to get back to doing stuff on the daily, even if it's short videos or even if it's just putting stuff out there in writing form. I'm going to try and do something on the daily, just to get something out there, basically. But yeah, live streams, obviously, big thing. I'm looking to try and do more and more. So fingers crossed that this does go well, and we continue and we move forward. I'm glad you're well, my friend. Glad you're well. PSG versus Bayern in the Club World Cup next. Yeah, it's getting a bit... obviously, with the latter stages, it's getting a bit more interesting, the Club World Cup. I still don't understand the appeal of it myself. But, yeah, you can tell that the latter stages are going to be heating up a little bit more. The only problem is that it just seems like it's going to be an all-European affair, doesn't it? Like, all the European clubs are seemingly going to be going through, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be interesting to see the rest of the world even remotely challenge them. I mean, look at PSG. I mean, they're going to absolutely kill it, I think. So, we shall see. 842, you should get 900 by August or September. Could you get 1,000 by Christmas? Possibly. I mean, that's the goal. That's the kind of road that we're on right now. Fingers crossed that we do get there. I mean, if not, we'll obviously go again in the new year. But yeah, I mean, like I say, guys, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. All of that good stuff is very much appreciated by myself. So can't thank you enough for the support that the channel has been getting. But yeah, we obviously continue. We're obviously on the grind. So let's do this thing. Auckland City lost by 9 to Bayern. Bad loss. I say, for some of the teams that have been there, it's just been a money-grabbing experience. For some of the other teams, it's been just an experience. So yeah, it's FIFA 1. FIFA got what they wanted. It is what it is. Anyway, guys, we're here to talk about Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro to Chelsea. What are we thinking about this? What are we thinking about this move? Because, like I say, it seemed for a long, long time Joao Pedro was going to be going to Newcastle. If it was that he was going to be going and leaving Brighton, that seemed to be roughly where he was going to be going. Whether it be to be the understudy to Isak or whether it be to actually replace Isak, just to throw it out there, was always going to be the question in mind. But it did seem like he wanted to leave Brighton. There was some sort of altercation between him and a fellow Brighton player at the end of the season that saw him miss out on a few of the games towards the end of the campaign. I'm caught in two minds about this. I can understand the appeal of Joao Pedro. I can understand why Chelsea would want to buy him. His athleticism, his energy, his work rate, his versatility. I can understand on that score why Chelsea would want to buy him. What I don't necessarily understand is you just bought Liam Delap. You're buying another player who is roughly the same age, roughly in a similar sort of development to him. And yet, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. Like, I can understand the appeal of a Joao Pedro, but I'm not fully grasping it. I'm not fully getting it right now, especially when you consider that Jamie Gittins is also coming in as well. I'm just not. I'm not fully grasping it. The news broke last night from David Ornstein, like I say on this. He basically states that, he talks to social media to say that exclusive, Chelsea reach agreement with Brighton, sign Joao Pedro, deal for 23-year-old Brighton and Hove striker forward is in excess of £50 million. Personal terms in place for 7-year contract. 7-year contract again. Another long-term signing by the Blues. Medical being arranged. Brazil international only wanted Chelsea and will join FIFA Club World Cup squad. So it does seem like he is going to be participating in the Club World Cup as well. Otherwise, why would he be going this early? But yeah, I'm still caught in two minds about this. Like, £50 million is not exactly a fee to be sniffed at. It's a big, big fee. Obviously coming in, you've got Gittins there. You've got Liam Delap there. Are they really that different? Are they really that too dissimilar in terms of their potential, in terms of their current profile? I'm still not completely sold on this. I mean, I'm obviously a Liverpool fan from the outside looking in here, but I wouldn't be completely sold on this if I was Chelsea. And I do have to question Chelsea's strategy here. A few months ago, I made a video before Chelsea got Champions League football, and I basically said that Chelsea's squad is in a very volatile situation because if things did go badly and they didn't get Champions League, things could really fall apart fast. But if things did, they would need to then step up their game. They would then need to really push the boat out and go that extra step further. But they did get Champions League football, but they don't seem to have done that so far in this window. Don't get me wrong, Liam Delap was simply a no-brainer. I get that signing. But are you as Chelsea fans not feeling a little underwhelmed by this? And don't get me wrong, this could obviously work out very, very well for Chelsea, as I will go on to explain eventually. But I'm just sat here thinking, like, you've got a fantastic opportunity here to really, at the very least, close the gap on the Arsenals, the Cities, the Liverpools. And you're going for players still that are not going to attract big wages. They're not going to attract, like, this doesn't move me. This isn't like a needle mover for me. This is not that kind of signing. This is just a smart signing in a way that I don't know. When you consider that you've already got Nicholas Jackson there as well, you're bringing in Liam Delap, you've got Joao Pedro, it just seems to me, and I've said this time and time again, that Chelsea need a top quality goalkeeper, a experienced and absolute solid leader of a man in the heart of the defense, and a striker that can put the ball into the back of the net on a prolific and consistent basis. And Chelsea could very well be challenging next season. I'm sat here looking at Liam Delap, Jamie Gittins, and Joao Pedro, and I'm going, I see the vision, I see why, but I'm just not moved in terms of that's going to close the gap completely. They may close the gap by like a point or 2 or 3, maybe even a bit more. But in terms of, are they going to overtake a position? Are they going to break into that top 3 next season? I don't necessarily see it with these kinds of signings. And I feel like they did need to step up their approach in this transfer window, something that they have not done so far. And I don't think they will either, because it doesn't seem like they're going to be going for those kinds of players and kind of breaking this wage structure that they are seemingly putting on right now on the club. So I'm not completely sold on this. Oh, you eat way because you're making me want to. Smart, bro. Smart. Smooth. That is absolutely smooth. I'm confused. Chelsea have over 50 players. So Joao is interesting one. They have Delap, Jackson, and now him. Brighton and Hove Albion always sell a player for big money, always to Chelsea. I mean, the thing I will say about the three strikers, maybe with the exception of a Delap, is that they're all versatile. They can all interchange, and they can all obviously play slightly different positions, whether it be more on the left-hand side. But even then, when you consider the left-hand side, there's still a number of players there that can obviously play there for Chelsea as well. And obviously you bring in Gittins as well. It's going to be interesting to see the rotation, the balance, and the sort of how Maresca tries to keep everybody happy on this. Is it a heat wave, or is it just the effect you have on me? Do you practice these when you're out in the club? Do you practice on these? I'm just interested to know. Gittins 2 from Dortmund. Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about him a little bit later. Chelsea sold Kepa to Arsenal while Partey is released after no new contract. Talks for Arsenal. Yeah, and then they went and got Norgard. People are saying, like, obviously Zubimendi's a replacement for Partey and Norgard is a replacement for Jorginho or vice versa. But when you did buy Zubimendi, I don't think you were really planning on selling or getting rid of Partey. So you can kind of see why the narrative is spanned that way. He is a quality signing. Big up Maximum. Hope you are well, my friend. Look, I'm not going to say he's not. I'm not, or at least he couldn't turn into one. Like, I'm not going to say that maybe he couldn't turn into one. I'm just not completely sold on a player who scored 10 goals last season and half of them were penalties. Now, I'm not someone who goes, oh, well, he's only a penalty merchant. I'm not someone that does that. But what I am saying is that for a team like Brighton that creates a lot of chances, plays some really good football, I'm not completely sold on him. I'm just not completely sold on him. And I do think that Chelsea maybe needed to push the boat out a little bit more. Because, like I said, there is a really good opportunity with what Arsenal are seemingly looking to do, potentially at the very least, close the gap on Arsenal. Maybe even overtake Arsenal. If the season was to start tomorrow, I'd be putting Arsenal third with obviously Liverpool and City ahead of them. Right now, I think there is a good opportunity there for Chelsea to overtake or close the gap on Arsenal. And I'm just not entirely convinced that the likes of Joao Pedro is going to do that. That's just my take on it. As I say, I understand why. There are some good qualities and characteristics of Joao Pedro that I think will suit Chelsea and will suit Maresca. But I've never been completely sold on him. Even when Liverpool were linked with him, I never was sold on Joao Pedro to Liverpool, in all honesty. Fletch, what is it like being Chelsea's fourth-choice striker now, or third ahead of Jackson? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Jackson. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the balance of the squad, and especially in that particular area. Because, like I said, I don't think there is I don't think there is a proper out and out starter. In all honesty, I think even when people say, "Well, they paid 50 million, why would they keep a 50 million pound striker on the bench?" Well, they've also just paid a 30 million pound striker. They signed Jackson for, I believe, somewhere between 30 and 40 million. So I could be wrong on that, but that seems to be the figure that's off the top of my head. So I'm not entirely convinced. But yeah, I think there could be a very interesting. It could be a very interesting. What's the word I'm looking for? Very interesting scenario. We'll go with scenario. Wasn't really the word I was looking for, but we'll go with scenario. Maximum says we will close the gap. I rate your confidence. This is positive. Yeah, I rate your confidence on that. And if you think that that is going to be the case, then absolutely. Then fair play to you. And if in several months' time we're sat here with Chelsea performing very, very well, looking to maybe challenge for the Premier League title, as well as or instead of one of the three main teams that I talked about earlier, then fair play to you. You called it out. I just don't personally see it. I see this adding depth. I see this adding a bit of versatility to Chelsea. But I don't necessarily see it adding that star quality that makes me think, that's it. That is it. It's if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be looking at it as a little underwhelming, in all honesty. Especially when you consider the overall package. Like, if you were to sign Pedro instead of Delap, but then go and get that star quality player, whether it be from the wing position or from the attacking third, I'd be going, you know what? Fair play. It's the overall package that counts. But again, there's just something about it that I'm just a little off put by. I'm just a little off put by this a little bit. Liverpool are looking to sell Darwin. Federico Chiesa could be sold, unfortunately, for a profit, in fact. So you think Chelsea need Victor Osimhen for a big name signing? We will talk about Liverpool a little bit about Liverpool, because there is a very interesting development in the Mark Gay situation, which could tip the scales in Liverpool's favour. Should, of course, they decide to pursue this particular avenue that I read earlier on today. But we'll get onto that a little later, Ballon. But I mean, personally, for me, yes. Like I said earlier, there were three positions that if Chelsea really did reinforce with some experience and leadership, they really could be challenging next season. And that is goalkeeper, centre-back, and striker. And for me, they just need someone who can put the ball into the back of the net. They already have the creativity. They already have the skill, the flair, and all of that stuff, which, yes, can be reinforced and, could be made even better. I think Mohamed Kudus, by the way, if Chelsea did pull off that move, would be an excellent signing. But it's all good having the creativity, the skill, the flair, the trickery, the attributes of looking very pleasing on the eye. But it's about putting the ball into the back of the net. And for me, I don't think Joao Pedro does that. Liam Delap had a very good breakout season with Ipswich, but again, the jury is still somewhat out on him, whether that was just a one-season thing, whether he can handle the kind of step up from an Ipswich, with all due respect to a Chelsea. There's still a fair few question marks over him, which I think is only right to sort of have for a young player. And then, of course, there's Nicholas Jackson, who I've never really been convinced by anyway. But, he can still chip in with a few goals here and there, but it's nothing majorly consistent, in all honesty. All these Chelsea signings are very young players so far. Yeah, like I say, I think that they needed to push the boat out a little bit more. I feel like they needed to maybe raise their level a little bit in the transfer window, but so far it seems like they're sticking to their guns a little bit. Arsenal need a striker too. Victor Osimhen, for example. Do I practice these pick online? No, found them online. Fair play. Fair play. You admitted that. Someone would be like, no, I thought of them on my own. But I agree. Yeah, I mean, the Arsenal striker situation continues to rumble on. I really do hope it's going to be Sesko, but it's, it depends on who you listen to. Like, half of them are saying it's going to be Sesko still. The other half are saying that Gyökeres is nearing a move to Arsenal. And obviously the news is that Gyökeres is not going to be returning to Sporting Lisbon this summer. I still think Liverpool should get involved, but links have seemingly died down a little bit these past few days since obviously speaking about it last week, which I said, by the way, that they potentially would, because I did think that although Liverpool should have Gyökeres on their radar, I did think that this was sort of a ploy by the club to maybe spark a bidding war between maybe the parties that are interested. There is still the potential that Liverpool are interested and could keep them on their radar and maybe strike up something later on. But I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced. But yeah, the Arsenal striker stuff does continue to rumble on. I think for Victor Osimhen, it's about wages. I think that is his main motivation and drive in these negotiations. And I don't necessarily think a lot of teams are going to be too happy negotiating with that. So it does seem like for Osimhen, it's going to be a case of Saudi, or you stay where you are and you rot. So we shall see what happens on the Osimhen situation, but it is a very intriguing saga that is being drawn out over there. Tifo Football did a Florian versus Liverpool YouTube video, by the way. I'll have to check that out after I've done this. I know we want a challenge. I know we want to challenge, but after watching the structure change the past 2 years, at least these signings look great. And trust me, within 2 or 3 years, we will be balling. I'm thinking like that now. And you know what, mate? You could absolutely be right. And there is absolutely there's no doubt in my mind that that could be the case. I mean, how many times have you gone online and you've seen like, look at what this team could have been if they'd have kept all their star signings. And it's always like a Southampton team. You know, like when Liverpool bought all those Southampton players, and obviously Man United bought a couple, and I think Arsenal did as well. And it's always like, if they had kept their best players, this is what their team would have looked like now. And it's like, they would have had Ramsdale, they would have had Lallana, they would have had Sadio Mane, they would have had this player and that player, and Oxlade-Chamberlain, and this player and that player. And it would have been like a really star-studded, incredible team. That's what Chelsea could be. The only problem I have with that is that the way that Chelsea's current business model in transfer windows looks right now, you have no idea whether or not these players are just here to actually try and achieve success, or whether they're there to maybe keep the wheels spinning in terms of the financial market for years later on down the line. Like, some of these players that were destined to be great players, that were bigged up by certain Chelsea fans, I'm not saying like you especially, but certain Chelsea fans bigging these kinds of players up, only to then a year or so later turn around and be like, he never quite reached his potential. He never was that good anyway. He's only there to make a profit. He's only there to obviously keep the financial wheel spinning. Look at Madueke, for example. Certain Chelsea fans that I've seen online, when he was linked with Arsenal, when he's been linked with 1 or 2 other clubs as well, they have simply turned around and said, well, maybe we can move him on. And I know that happens with all clubs. I'm not saying that happens with solely Chelsea, but there is that side of things to look at as well. And I do feel like with this current Chelsea model, that could be more of a possibility than most. Like I say, you could absolutely be right. And in 2 or 3 years' time, we're looking back on these types of signings and we're going, that was a masterstroke. That was absolutely genius. That was absolutely wonderful, shrewd pieces of business that no one really backed at the time. And then obviously it materializes into something special. And if it does, fair play to you. Fair play for you calling it out. Fair play for your club for recognizing it. 100% understand. But yeah, we shall obviously see how this turns out. No Mudryk for them for the season or two, it seems. Yeah, that's another reason as well why Chelsea have probably hit the market hard in that particular area, because there's no Mikel Mudryk. Dirk Kuyt found a new job in the Dutch league. Fair play. I hope he does well. Dirk Kuyt was in the Belgian league last season, of course. Fair play. With all these players, Cole Palmer is their star player. Would you take former Red Bull player Nkunku to Liverpool? Liverpool like a Red Bull type player? No. Simple answer is that. Too injury prone, and again, not the kind of striker / left winger that I'm looking for at Liverpool. I'm looking for someone who is prolific at putting the ball into the back of the net, and not someone that mainly focuses on sticking a balloon in his shin pads. Big up, Marco. Hope you are well, my friend. Lovely to have you along with us. Early stream, boys. Quick one for a bit. We should go for maybe another 45 to an hour or so, depending on how the stream goes, and obviously we shall see. We shall see how it goes. But yeah, big up yourself, my friend. Hope you are well. Lovely to have you along with us. Would love to know what you're thinking on this situation. Joao Pedro to Chelsea. Is it good? Is it bad? Let me know what you guys thinking. Guys, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And of course, get involved in the chat as well. Lovely to have you all along with us on this very fine Monday morning. I like Nkunku from France and can score a goal from midfield. I like his versatility, but I'm not exactly completely sold or convinced on Nkunku. He can stay at Chelsea or go wherever the hell he wants for all I care. I'm not too bothered, to be honest. Big up, Carlos. Hope you were well, my friend. Don't think I've seen you in the chat before, but welcome along. Lovely to have you along with us. Would love to know who you support and what you think about this news if you're still in the building, my friend. But yeah, welcome along. Lovely to have you on this journey. Liverpool made a new signing, Freddie Woodman, homegrown player. Does he give you... Are you all right today, Ballon? Is the heat making you a bit, a bit adventurous, shall we say? But yeah, it's just a signing. It's just a signing that we needed to cover our third choice goalkeeper. Obviously, Yaros is gone on loan. So we needed to bring in a third choice signing, and obviously it boosts our homegrown quota. So yeah, it's just a signing. Don't expect to see him a lot. I mean, obviously when Alisson gets injured for like a month, like he does seem to every single year, then we'll see him off on the bench maybe. But otherwise, yeah, it is what it is. Welcome, Freddie Woodman, third choice goalkeeper for the Premier League English player rule. In case you missed it over this weekend, I had no idea this was happening until Liverpool. Yeah, this one was very quickly done, and when it's always like this, it was always very quickly done. So yeah, like I say, it's just a signing. It is what it is. Nothing to write home about. Nothing to really say too much about. We're barely going to see him, in all honesty. So. Well, it's good for Liverpool, bad for the rest of the Prem. What's that in regards to? In terms of, I'm just curious as to know why it's good for Liverpool. Interesting. Do you think Harvey Elliott leaving Liverpool this summer, or only a rumor? I don't want him to leave. I really don't. But I feel like if a good enough price is... I feel like if a good enough price is obviously offered to Liverpool, then I think we'll take it. I think somewhere in the region of 40 to 55 million, somewhere around about then, I think we'll pretty much tip the scales in the favour of Elliott leaving. So I think that is going to be roughly the kind of price that we're looking at. Obviously, Bayer Leverkusen are interested. I said this the other day as well. I think every Premier League team, barring maybe City and Arsenal, should be interested in taking Harvey Elliott. And obviously we wouldn't give him to Everton or United. So 15 out of the 20 Premier League teams should definitely be interested in signing Harvey Elliott. I think he could do a really good job for anyone in that league. And I think that wherever he goes, he will definitely flourish. So big up to Harvey Elliott. Carlos is a Chelsea fan. Nice one, bro. Always welcome to build up this community with every type of football fan there is. And if you're still here, mate, I would love to know what you are thinking about this move. Are you excited about this move? Are you happy about this move? Are you curious, intrigued? Or are you a bit underwhelmed? Are you not exactly excited about Joao Pedro as you would be for someone else? Let me know what you're thinking, bro. Would love to know what your thoughts, comments, opinions, and predictions are about this big move for Chelsea. Tried to make you laugh at the last part. All right, fair enough. Just checking up on you, bro. Just checking up. It's in regards, you asked, is it good or bad? What do you think, Joao Pedro? Oh, okay. I'm just curious just to know why it's good just for Liverpool, but bad for the rest of the Premier League. Like, do you mean like it's good that we didn't sign him because he wouldn't be that great for us? But bad for the rest of the Premier League that would benefit from a Joao Pedro? Is that what you're getting at? I'm just curious to know because if that is the case, then I agree with you. Like, I'm glad that we didn't eventually turn to him. Like, I don't know, whatever our striker situation is going to be like. I thought Liverpool had to keep young Harvey Elliott because he's homegrown rules. They sold centre-back to Bayern as well, we know, in Germany. Well, obviously, we've got rid of Trent. We got rid of Kwanzaa. So that's 2 down. But we've brought in this new goalkeeper. And we've got Jeremy Frimpong, who also qualifies as homegrown as well. So we're 2 for 2 so far. If we bring in Gahey as well, that could obviously boost it up as well. I'm not 100% sure where we're currently at right now with that kind of specification for our squad registration, but I feel like we're in an okay position. So we shall see. We shall see, obviously, how that one particularly goes. So Joao Pedro then. Joao Pedro. Like I say, I don't fully understand this move completely. I can pick out certain qualities. I can pick out certain attributes as to why they would appeal and attract Chelsea's interest. I did feel like this would be something that may actually be more beneficial to a Newcastle. I just whilst we're on the subject of that, Newcastle, where do they turn from here? Because I do feel like they are a Alexander Isak saying yes to a Liverpool or somewhere else away from a complete meltdown. Like, it does seem like Newcastle's season, and although it does seem very unlikely that the Alexander Isak deal will happen in any way, shape, or form, it does seem like their whole summer is now seemingly resting on Isak staying. Because they can go out there and they can buy James Trafford from Burnley. They can go out there and they can buy Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest if, obviously, that move does materialise. And there's another player as well whose name is escaping me, who they're after as well, and I can't remember who it is. But it all seemingly comes crashing down if Isak does leave. Now, of course, they will get a lot of money from that Isak move, but I'm not entirely convinced by the way that they're spending it so far. I mean, the Champions League money that they've obviously obtained to spend on the likes of Trafford and Elanga and... who is the third name that escapes me? I want to say it's a defender, but I can't remember for the life of me who it is. Either way, I'm not entirely convinced on them either. So it just seems that way. And obviously they've been rejected already by Brian and Buemo. They've now been rejected by Joao Pedro. Twice, by the way, after Romano gave the "here we go" a few years ago, when before we signed for Brighton, rejected twice by the same player. Everyone does it, but it's kind of a little bit funny. I want to know where Newcastle go from here. Like, we're talking about Chelsea, we're talking about how it beefs up their squad and how, you know, it kind of works out for them in certain ways. But for Newcastle, like I say, where do they turn from here? Do they have the money to turn elsewhere? I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued to know where they do turn from here, the Magpies, because they're clearly after a striker. They need a striker for, obviously, competition and to back up Isak. You're going to be playing Champions League football. You're going to be playing Premier League football, 2 games a week in, week out. Isak's injury record needs to be controlled. It definitely needs to be controlled by Newcastle. Otherwise, the long term is not going to look great for Isak or for Newcastle. And the way to do that is obviously to get a player that can fill in for him and not be too much of a drop off, you would imagine. I'm intrigued to know which way Newcastle are going to turn now. Very much intrigued to know which way Newcastle are going to turn themselves, because so far it's seemingly been a bit of a frustrating transfer window for them. And it doesn't exactly seem like it's going to be healing up anytime soon. Today is the last day of June. Do you expect a repeat of last summer where teams trade third choice goalkeepers for 30 million each way? That's how it could start off again. It's a bit of a loophole that seemingly clubs have found. That or did the Premier League tie that up? The Premier League might have tied that up a little bit. But no, it could be very interesting. Obviously, I said the other day as well, like, a lot of Premier League clubs are probably waiting until July, when obviously the FFP and PSR kind of numbers are a bit more clearer. So that's why a lot more dealings get done in July. So we could see a lot more movement beginning from tomorrow onwards. And it could be a very intriguing July ahead in this transfer window, which has already started very explosively. And it looks like it's only going to be getting much more intriguing. Newcastle have Champions League, so they can sign players. Profit and sustainability is their problem, some say. Yeah, it is a little bit. It's a bit of a hindrance. Again, I still think there are ways you can get around that, but it may take a little bit of time. A lot of people seem to think that it's, you know, it should be for the here and now. Doesn't necessarily work out that way if you're lottery winners, though. But yeah, it will take a little bit of time. But they've got that Champions League money. It's just about how you spend it. Do I personally think that spending it on James Trafford and Anthony Elanga in particular is the best way to go about it? I don't necessarily think so, in all honesty. I don't necessarily see it working out that in the best way for Newcastle, unfortunately for them. Question is, who would be Newcastle's next big striker if they keep Isak? They do need one more striker in. You know what? I said this the other day. Ekatike. That would be who, if I was Newcastle, I'd be going for. Ekatike. I know he's going to cost a lot of money, but for the project player that he is, for what he has in his locker, in his arsenal, I think that a player who resembles, in a fair few ways, Alexander Isak is Ekatike. And I genuinely think that you don't necessarily want someone who is... Well, you're not going to really find anyone who's better than Isak, shall we say. But what you can do is you can find someone who resembles him, can fit to the system like a glove that you already have, but someone who doesn't have exactly like the whole weight of his shoulders of filling in for Isak. Like if Isak was to go and then you bring Ekitike in, as great a signing as I think that would be, there might be a lot of pressure for Ekitike to like hit the ground running straight away and be like, right, you're the Isak replacement. Go and get me 20 goals a season, rather than share the goals around or, you know, kind of bring in maybe a striker that is on Isak's level, which would be difficult for Newcastle to do. Ekitike for me would be the one for Newcastle. I think he fits the profile. I think he fits the club. The only problem is that obviously several years down the line, if you're again not winning the major trophies, you could be facing another Isak situation where a lot of teams are circulating and wondering if they can obviously maybe take him off their hands. That's the only problem you have. But he's got a lot of potential. He's got bags of quality. He's got raw talent to a T. Ekitike for me would be the one. But I understand how difficult that may be to do because there's a lot of money that is seemingly being involved in that potential deal, which is why I think a lot of other clubs are also staying clear, which is why I think Chelsea went for Joao Pedro rather than Ekitike, by the way. Because obviously it was said for a while that Chelsea were after Ekitike, and now that they've gone and got Pedro, I feel like that has really closed the door on that particular transfer. Darwin is available. I don't necessarily think Newcastle fans have forgiven him for that incredible display where he single-handedly dragged Liverpool from the jaws of defeat to win the game against them at St. James's Park when we were down to 10 men. But I feel like it could work. Newcastle play somewhat on the counter. I'm not... don't know if a lot of teams will give them a bit more respect next season, but it could work. Aston Villa goalkeeper Martinez is linked away to a few teams. Big loss for Villa, but a big addition for whoever signs Martinez. One of the best and most consistent goalkeepers in recent years. But it does seem like Martinez is or should have that step up now to a Champions League club 100%. Thoughts on Brentford appointing a set-piece coach as a manager? Is this a bad decision or a safe decision, you feel? I mean, Brentford are very good with all their data analysis and all of that kind of stuff. It's what's made them successful over the past several years. It's something that I would trust the club with because of obviously how successful they've ran the club these past several years and getting them from the lower divisions of the English football pyramid to obviously the Premier League. But at the same time, it is a massive gamble. That is a massive gamble and one that I'm very intrigued to see whether or not it will work out or not. But at the moment, I would trust the club. Like I say, they've probably done a lot of research on it. They've probably done a lot of in-depth analysis. But at the same time, yeah, I'm intrigued to see if it works out. Very much intrigued. Good reminder on Ekitike. Do you want him at Liverpool? Newcastle could go for him. I feel like he is close or at least resembles part and a big part of Alexander Isak's game. He's still rough around the edges. He's still green, as you would expect from a youngster. And it's going to be a very big change to adapt from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. We get that. I wouldn't want him at Liverpool for the price that they're asking for. And it's one of them situations where, in hindsight, you're only going to know the answer because it's either going to be you missed the boat on him completely or you took a gamble and it paid off or you took a gamble and it didn't pay off. So it's going to be very intriguing in all of those aspects. But for me, I would go Gyökeres at Isak and then Julian Alvarez. Try them three first before you go for an Ekitike. Ekatike scored 20 goals in the Bundesliga. So yeah, fantastic season. Fantastic season at Frankfurt. Even with obviously Marmoush being there for half a season, and then he seemed to really take the reins from there onwards. Newcastle United winning League Cup does help them start their project in some ways. Finally, a trophy for them. Yeah, it will install belief. It will install confidence. It will install a winning mentality. It's the building block. And I always say this about the League Cup as well. Jose Mourinho, when he was in his prime, made it a goal to win that competition. That is the first trophy that he won at Chelsea. I feel like it was the first trophy. I feel like he won that first time when he took over, and I feel like it was the first trophy that he won when he returned to Chelsea as well. So I like I say, don't ever disrespect the League Cup, because it can be a building block to further and bigger success. Would Ekatike fit Arsenal? Arsenal are looking for a striker. Not entirely sure then again, Arteta's weird. It could. they could. I feel like if they are eventually out of options, I feel like they could. But I feel like if they're struggling to get the Sesko deal over the line, I don't think they would probably spend that kind of money or a similar sort of money on him. But there doesn't seem to be any links with Arsenal and Ekatike, to be fair. Or at least not major ones anyway. Lyon got relegated from McDonald's League, so Lyon have a fair few players that many say teams should sign for foreign midfield and so on. Well, they've already lost Ryan Shirky, haven't they? Could be a bit of a sinking ship over there. I think I'm done with low-key questions and reminders such as Lyon going down. It's cool, bro. Like I say, I encourage all football chat. Like, it keeps it fresh, keeps it on its toes, and keeps things interesting. If we can stay to the topic, great. But random things like that is like, it helps the stream along and can post some intriguing questions. Big up to Luca Talks. Don's in the building. Hope you are well, my friend. Lovely to have you along with us. Hope you are well, broski. And speaking of broski, broski's in the building. Hope you are well, my friend. Welcome along to the stream. Why have we signed Pedro? He scored 5 goals from open play last season. I mentioned that he did score 5 penalties and 5 goals from open play. Don't ever rule out penalties as not being proper goals. I 100% get that. But at the same time, it doesn't exactly make for great reading. I 100% understand where you are coming from with that. This just seems to me a signing of convenience, a signing of ease, I guess you would say. Pedro seemingly wanted out of Brighton, Chelsea being a bigger club than Brighton, with all due respect. And let's face it, like I said earlier, Brighton are your B team. In the same way that everybody bantered Liverpool when they signed plenty of Southampton players, you've come back to Brighton on many, many of an occasion. So it's turning into a little bit of that right now with Chelsea. But I understand where you're coming from. Like I say, if I was a Chelsea fan, I would be underwhelmed as well. I don't necessarily see the full reasoning behind this. I think there are certain aspects of Pedro's game and what he possesses and his attributes and his skill set that I understand why Chelsea have gone in for him. But for £50 million, when that money could have been better spent elsewhere or put to better use, I'm not entirely convinced by it. I will share your kind of concern with that. Luca says, we're getting Sesko. I hope you do. From a Liverpool fan, I really hope you do, because Gyökeres and Arsenal is a lot scarier than Sesko at Arsenal. And like I say, I don't necessarily rate Sesko. So I hope you do in a sort of banterous way. But if I am to be fair and objective, mate, I understand where you're coming from and why you are maybe not exactly best pleased with that scenario. I just want to say as well, Luca, if you are in the building, I just want to know, have you completely rebranded your channel then? Are you done talking about Arsenal, or is that just a sort of channel rebrand thing? You will be doing that kind of on the side and mainly doing the Dons talk. I'd love to know, my friend. Would love to know. I've kind of been at the YouTube loop these past several days, but I'm looking to get back into it because I've got a lot of content to kind of catch up on. But yeah, interested to know, my friend, if you're still in the building. Monaco, rich area, sign Ansu Fati and Paul Pogba. Saudi Arabia will sign some players too. A lot of movement. We waste so much money on rubbish. Why didn't we get Isak? We want to win. We won't win anything with Pedro and Delap up top for 100 million. I'm so bored of us wasting money. Now want some top players like Isak or Gyökeres. Now, I said the same thing, mate. I said the same thing, that you are, in my opinion, at the very least, 3 top players away in 3 specific positions from, at the very least, challenging for the Premier League. Not necessarily winning it, but challenging for it. Goalkeeper, centre-back, striker. You get 3 top players in those positions, and for me, you are definitely challenging for the league next season. You need someone who can put the ball to the back of the net. You need a goalkeeper that doesn't have poppadoms for hands, and you need a centre-back who is rock solid, who is a leader, and who is consistent. And for me, you don't necessarily have that, and you keep putting all your eggs in this kind of young player basket, and half your fan base are saying these players are for the future. These players will develop over the time, and we will have one hell of a squad in about 2 or 3 years down the line. And the other half of your fan base are questioning, why are they doing this? These players are not going to, or half of these players are not going to be here in the long run, because half of these players are going to be turned over for profit later on down the line. And I feel like there's a mixture of both going on. I feel like if you manage to keep these players, there could be an aspect of 2 or 3 years down the line, you may turn into a super team that is winning trophies, that is in a very dominant position, and you could be very successful. But I do think it's mainly for the latter. You may pick up like a League Cup or an FA Cup here and there, but I do feel like it is for the latter, which is profit making, keeping the financial wheel spinning, and all of that kind of jargon and stuff like that. So I do understand where you're coming from and where your frustration is, because if this was happening to my club, I would be annoyed. I would be annoyed that we're not pushing the boat out when we need to. You obtained Champions League football. You got your goal for the last season. Fantastic. Now it's time to step it up a gear. Now it's time to go up again. I like the signing of Delap, and I do agree that you don't just solely judge a signing based off of them alone. You need to judge the overall package. Like I say, for Liverpool, for example, we've gone out and we've identified areas we need to strengthen. So the overall package of our transfer window looks so good right now, rather than just going, yeah, we'll get Frimpong because Trent's left, and then we'll leave it at that. You need to judge the overall package, and I 100% get it. If you'd have bought Delap and a star-studded striker like an Isak or a Gyökeres in your argument, it would look so much better than what it does right now, with it just being Gittins, Pedro, Delap. I 100% where you're coming from, my friend. I somewhat agree with mostly what you're saying there. I don't think Leon will actually go down. We shall see. We shall see. Jose Mourinho always say winning League Cup is a start. Tottenham sacking before the final. Take care. Thanks for being on for over an hour. Enjoy your job in retail. It's all good, my friend. Appreciate it. And yeah, that was still bizarre. But if you remember, the reason why they sacked him was seemingly because Daniel Levy would have had to have paid Mourinho a lot of money for winning a trophy. And then the second part was the Super League. That thing all kicked off a week before a week before that final. And I feel like part of the reason was because people thought that that kind of competition and that kind of football would be worthless. Especially the money aspect side of things. With obviously the Super League kicking off and everybody seemingly jumping on board with it. before everyone backed out spectacularly. I think I will definitely eat ice cream sometime today because it's hot in England. Yeah, like I say, keep hydrated, stay cool down in any way you can. Ice cream is a very good remedy for that. Guys, remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. Thank you, everybody that's been here and is here so far. Really do appreciate every single one of you. And, of course, continue to get involved in the chat, whether it be on the Chelsea situation or any kind of footballing conversation that you want to have. It's always fun to talk to you, so do continue with that. I really do love your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, and feelings, and whatever else you want to talk about, and all of that good stuff. Pedro is £59 million plus 12 million. Brighton have done us again. If Pedro is backed up Sesko, Gyökeres, or Isak, then I'll be okay with that. Yeah, it seems like that's going to close the book on at least attacking, striker situation. There's still the Mohamed Kudus thing that could be that could happen for Chelsea, and I think that would be a quality signing if it does. We shall see if that does materialize into anything. But like I say, I think there are maybe bigger issues at play. I still think you need a centre-back that is commanding, that is strong, that is a leader. And I do think you need a goalkeeper that doesn't have poppadoms for hands, that doesn't crumble at the sight of the ball being in the air or at his feet. So I do think you have bigger problems than that, but I understand again where your concern lies, my friend. So thank you for getting involved. Oh, Real Juve should be good tomorrow. Like I say, I think the Club World Cup is heating up a little bit. It's still not entirely satisfying to watch or anything along them lines. But of course, with obviously the tournament getting to the latter stages, it always does get better, I would say. Like I said, I think the only downside is that it's mainly European dominated. Mainly European dominated, isn't it? Some of the other clubs from around the globe just aren't up to the standard and the level, and that's why Europe is dominating that competition right now, and why we are going from a Club World Cup to just a Champions League scenario. Kirkes in. Do you see Costas or Andrew leaving? I don't think Atleti want Andrew anymore. Costas is one who could be sold, I feel. Yeah, I mean, Tsimikas was being linked with the likes of, I think, Wolves and Nottingham Forest earlier on this summer. So I feel like it will be Tsimikas who does leave. I said this on a stream a few days ago that Robertson's leadership and his experience, I think, will provide a very big factor to Kirkes for the final year of Robertson's contract. I feel like Robertson can then have one more year. He's going to be a bit of a rotation at left back. He's going to help Kirkes bleed into this side. He's going to obviously help Kirkes in any way, shape or form that he can. He's going to provide a very good sort of backup to him. In an ideal world, yes, I would want Robertson sold. Bring in a new left back, whether it be from the academy or whether it be from elsewhere. But in saying that, like I say, I wouldn't be completely against Robertson seeing out the final year of his current contract. Like I say, he can then get the farewell that he deserves. He can then obviously help Kirkes bleed into a new side, a new setup. And yeah, he can obviously be a leader and an experienced member of the team that, Liverpool need and want for this new crop of youngsters coming in, including obviously the likes of Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, and whoever else we decide to maybe sign this summer. Like I say, it's been a very exciting transfer window so far, and hopefully it will only get even more intriguing and exciting going forward. PSG Bayern should also be good, 5th of July. PSG are going to win that. If PSG take this seriously, then yeah, PSG are so going to win that. So going to win that. Don't see Bayern doing much at all. Atletico signed a left back from Atalanta from Serie A. And I say, always good to look over those things, just in case there's a domino effect in play. Just in case there's a domino effect in play. So, like, for example, there, Atleti signed a left back from Atalanta. Does that mean Atalanta look for a left back themselves? Did he already have a left back? Does someone else need a left back? That kind of thing. Forest need a left back. Forest need a more natural left back than what they currently have. And, you know, I'm just saying, if they were to give us about, say, around about 10 million maybe for Tsimikas. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. Maybe 10 million, I don't know. 10 million for Tsimikas? Yeah, no, maybe. I don't know. Right, we talked about Joao Pedro. Let's talk a bit about Jamie Gittins. News broke on Saturday night that Gittins will be going to Chelsea. Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund have struck a deal for the 20-year-old forward. He contributed 12 goals and 5 assists in 48 games in all competitions for Dortmund last season. And he's going to be moving to Stamford Bridge for a fee in the region of £55.5 million. Massive price tag again by Chelsea. Takes their spending even higher. That is 135.5 million. 135.5 million on Delap, Gittins, and Pedro alone. But you can guarantee the wage structure is going to be pretty low for these types of players. So at least their wage structure is going to be is going to be okay, because a lot of their wage structures are low. That's why they target these types of players. And I'm sure that maybe the rise of their wage structure will depend on certain incentives being met, the triumph of silverware, that kind of thing. What are we thinking about this Gittins stuff? Obviously, a lot of people intrigued. A lot of people excited by the prospect of what Gittins could turn into. A lot of notoriety has gone into Gittins these past couple of years or so. A lot of interest as well from several teams, not just Chelsea, but there were seemingly several teams that were keeping him on their radar. What are we thinking about this Gittins stuff? I can't say I've seen a great deal on him. I'm not really a religious fan of the Bundesliga. I'm not really a religious fan as I used to be of Dortmund these past couple of years, but there have been a few times that I've seen of him, fair few times that I've that he's caught my eye, or I've watched a Dortmund game or had it on in the background, and maybe took a bit of a notice of him. What are we making of this Gittins stuff? Like I say, it's not exactly a price to be sniffed at. Obviously, I think maybe this move was sort of inspired along, maybe fast-tracked a little along with obviously the news of Mykhailo Mudryk and the ban that he is going to be partaking in. I'm intrigued. I'm curious as to know what Chelsea fans again think of this. Like I say, the Joao Pedro stuff is somewhat underwhelming to me. Gittins, like I say, could have a very bright future. Very bright future indeed. But when you consider the overall package again of the transfer window of Chelsea, is it a sort of missed opportunity? Is it a missed opportunity by Chelsea this? That they didn't sign anyone that is more notorious, that is more prolific, got more of a good stature in the game? Or is this going to be used again later on down the line as a profit margin? Or anything along those lines? Luca's back. How you doing, bro? Good to have you here. I'm just intrigued with Chelsea's strategy and planning. I've been thinking it for a while, and I was thinking about making a video on it and talking about it a bit more, but whilst we're here, we might as well talk about it. Chelsea's transfer strategy, to me, like I say, is strange. And I can get it. I can pick elements of it out, and I can say, right, I can understand why they've gone for this guy. I can understand why they've gone for that guy. I can understand their approach here. I can understand their approach there. But for me, when you are on the upwards trajectory, signing project players does work. But signing too many project players, I don't think that's been proven to work, because I don't think anybody's done it, which says to me that there's data analysis and all of that kind of stuff that suggests it doesn't work. And therefore, when I see that and when I hear that and when I think that, it kind of says to me that I agree with what some of these Chelsea fans are saying. Some of these players are going to be here for the long term, like your Cole Palmers, for example. They're going to be here for the long term. They're going to be the ones that are going to have the hopes and the dreams and the visions of the ownership and the board to go out there and lead the team going forward to glory, to triumphs in various competitions. And some of them are going to be there with the vision to progress, to advance their game, and then be put on the chopping block and sold before they bring in a new guy who would be in their position of a few years ago. It's like the Chelsea board have got a bit of like a short attention span. They see a bright, shiny new toy, and then when they have that bright, shiny new toy, they eventually go, nah, don't want that one no more. I want that one because he's got it. That guy, he's got it. He's got a bright, shiny new toy, and I want it. They're like a kid in the playground. They want the toy that they don't have until they have it. That is sort of what I see with Chelsea right now a little bit. Not in terms of all aspects of their players and their team, but for the most part, I would imagine that some of these players, they don't envision being a part of their long-term success. Some of these players are just there to make profit. And the reason is that why do they constantly go to the likes of Romano, and mainly Romano, whenever they're signing some 17, 18, 19-year-old player that nobody's ever heard of? For me, I feel like the Romanos and the Ornsteins and everything should be focused on mainly the main ones, the bigger transfers, the ones that have got at least a bit of pedigree and a bit of substance to their name. not these kids that no one's ever heard of, or not necessarily these kids that no one's ever heard of, unless it's a bit of a slow news day. Because to me, it just screams to me that, okay, could be a bit of a wonder kid. Could be an epic name in a fair few years down the line. But is he going to make an impact here and now? Unless his name is Lamine Yamal. Unless his name is Desiree Doué. Probably not. Probably not. So I'm just confused a little bit by, well, not maybe confused is the wrong word. Just a bit curious of Chelsea's strategy, Chelsea's plan, and everything else like that going forward. It's intriguing from the outside looking in. And I am mainly curious as to see if this does work or not, and to see what the future of some of these players holds and possesses. But I'm not fully convinced again by what Chelsea are doing. If Chelsea went out there and they signed these types of players, but they also signed on top of those players some really established names, some star quality, sprinkled that little bit of stardust on their team, I'd be looking at their team and going, wow, these are amazing. These are really going for it this season. They've really stepped up their game, and they are really, really gunning to try and, at the very least, close the gap on Arsenal, on Chelsea, on City, on Liverpool. These types of signings right now they're not moving me. They're not exactly stating to me that these are going to be earth-shattering, groundbreaking, monumental, needle movers in any way, shape, or form. These are just going to be players that maybe in the long term could produce something. But for the most part, they're probably going to be there to carry out a job, to have a bigger stage to perform on, and then be cherry-picked by certain teams. And the wheel at Chelsea keeps on spinning, because as they get cherry-picked, more are going to grow from elsewhere. And Chelsea are just going to cherry-pick them. And that's the way the cycle, I think, will continue at Chelsea going forward. It's an interesting topic to talk about. It's an interesting debate to have, and I would love to gauge the thoughts of you guys on this kind of whole Chelsea movement. Is this Chelsea movement for the benefit of the club in terms of success? Is it mainly for money and financial income? Is it trying to be a bit of both, but is so far struggling to find a balance? I don't know. I'd love to gauge the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of you guys on that particular topic of discussion. Last talking point before we get out of here and really enjoy this incredible sunshine. It's only a small one. It's only a bit of a small talking point. There was an article, or at least there was a bit of an update on the Mark Gahey situation. Obviously, as we reported and as we talked about, we know that Mark Gahey has been attracting the interest of Liverpool in recent weeks and seemingly months, along with obviously other teams that are interested. For me, Mark Gahey would be a fantastic signing for whoever got him, but from my personal perspective, I have my fingers and toes crossed that it is Liverpool, because that would be an outstanding signing and addition to this Liverpool team, which is already, of course, growing by the week, it seems. It seems as though, for right now, Liverpool aren't exactly sold on the price of Mark Guéhi. Palace seemingly want roughly about 50 to 55 million for him, reportedly. Liverpool aren't exactly sold on that particular price tag. However, Liverpool could have an ace up their sleeve. It's been reported today that Palace have shown a bit of an interest in Ben Doak, and Liverpool might be open to switching him, using him as a part exchange deal in order to bring Guéhi to Anfield. Ben Doak, seemingly an up-and-coming youngster, absolutely killed it this past season in the lower leagues of English football. Absolutely killed it. Looks to be on the rise. Had a lot of potential and a lot of intrigue and interest in him. But could obviously be on his way out of Liverpool. And it does seem like Liverpool are very much open to selling him, to moving him on. Maybe they don't quite rate him as highly as what they used to, or as what some of their fans did. Or maybe they just feel like it's beneficial now to cash in on him whilst they have the opportunity to do so. I don't know. I don't know the full extent of the reasoning, at least, behind the potential of Ben Doak's departure. However, for the benefit of the team in the long run, or even in the short term, Guéhi for me would be the one. It would have to be a sacrifice, and I'm sure that there could be ways of getting around this. Again, we put a buyback clause in Jarell Quansah's contract, so we could do the same with Ben Doak. We definitely could do the same with Ben Doak if he turns out to be this star quality player that a lot of people kind of say that his potential could reach. We could certainly do something similar that we did with Quansah there. We could put in a pretty hefty sell-on clause, maybe, in which we receive a big percentage of the sell-on clause that Palace may receive for him later on down the line. Sorry. Bit of a side note. You know how I said earlier that there doesn't seem to be many links linking Arsenal with Hugo Ekitike? Well, according to Sport Bild, a publication in Germany, allegedly Arsenal have joined Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester United in a race to sign Eintracht Frankfurt's Hugo Ekitike. I've just literally read that. Just literally read that after I just said, like, there doesn't seem to be many links linking Arsenal with Ekitike. And then that breaks. Almost like they heard me. I almost broke a story without actually breaking it. But yeah, I mean, if that is to come off as well, I mean, I don't know whether Arsenal are just keeping their options open. I don't know whether this is a plot by Frankfurt to try and spark a bidding war for Ekitike. But it's it could be a very interesting saga with Ekitike. There's no doubt about it. The Ekitike saga continues to rumble on. It doesn't seem like we're any closer to finding a resolution to that. But it could be intriguing to obviously come to that realization of where his footballing future will lie. Sorry, just signing something out. Yeah, cool. Sort it out. Is the Liverpool 25-26 kit almost same as last season appearance-wise? The red one, I mean, the red one's always somewhat similar, isn't it? There's like maybe a few changes. And of course, it's different in terms of we are now sponsored by Adidas rather than Nike. So that is obviously a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal that it's that is. Yeah, that is a pretty big deal. That's the change of sponsor there. But I imagine it's going to be probably end of July, August, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really sure when. I've not really been bothered about Liverpool's new kit because I've always just disliked the ownership so much. But no, the ownership have definitely surprised me this summer so far. So long may it continue, and then maybe I will buy kits again. Maybe I will buy more Liverpool merchandise again. I want to because some of them actually do look really, really good and really nice. But the problem obviously is that yeah, I don't like the way our club has been run, and I don't really fancy on giving my money to them if they're not going to spend it on anything good. But they have so far, so we're all good. We're all good so far. They're changing my opinion slowly but surely. They need to obviously do it on a more consistent basis. But so far, so good. So far, so good. But yeah, sorry, as I was saying before, I was interrupted by the Ekatike stuff. I really hope we do land Mark Gahey. Really do hope that we land him. I feel like for the immediate future and for the long term future, he is going to benefit Liverpool so greatly. Like I said, there are many good qualities for him, whether it be about him as a player, his leadership, his consistency, the fact that he's just so solid, reads the game really well, or whether it be about the fact of who he is as a person. So his age range of 24 is really, really good. And as well as that, he is obviously homegrown, as I believe I mentioned earlier. That will obviously help fill out a quota as well for our squad registration. So all in all, I cannot honestly see anything bad about the signing of Mark Gahey. And fingers crossed that it actually does pay off. And that we actually do go on and sign him. I feel like we can do. I feel like we will do. I feel like there is a deal there to be done. How quickly we can do that deal, though, remains to be seen. Like I say, most deals do take place in July. So hopefully there will be some movement over the next week or two. But yeah, we shall definitely see what the future holds for both Liverpool and for Mark Gahey. Because we definitely need to address the centre-back situation and the striker situation. The striker situation definitely needs to be looked at and addressed ASAP. Right then, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everybody who joined us for this very early morning stream. Absolute pleasure and a privilege to talk to every single one of you about football. Thank you to everybody that joined us in the chat. Thank you to everybody that's liked and subscribed so far. If you haven't already, guys, please do exactly that. Like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. It's always appreciated by myself. Will never be taken for granted. You guys are absolutely awesome, as I can't thank you enough for the support that this channel and myself has received ever. So it is very much appreciated. You guys are absolutely awesome. I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the weather. Stay hydrated. Stay safe. And I'll see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Take care. Enjoy yourselves. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.